times in your life, it's interesting, you get reinforced into certain behavior patterns, right? And it happens time and again. And these generally come up when there's always you're juxtaposing two situations in conflicts or two paths, right? So one of those instances happened recently during COVID, right? During COVID, we made all the medicines that we could, and I have to give it to the 27,000 people who work here, because no one had a problem leaving their communities and societies to come to work and go back into those societies. There was apprehension. People would say, if you're going out, don't come back in, right? And some of these people were young mothers, some of these people, but they all took a decision to say, yes, I'm going. And if I have to live outside, that's fine for a week, but my duty and job is to make people there, right? And that's why the credo of Cipla was caring for life, right? But very often when you get into and it was a very stressful time, not just for the public, because I would get over 40, 45 calls a day, just from people who would know me. Imagine those who didn't know me, how many calls the company was receiving for remdesivir, for all the medicines, etc. So one such day, my mother called. And that was probably call 45 of that day, right? And she said, how parents are. Beta, ये फलाने की mom is unwell. So मैंने बोला कि we'll see if we can get some remdesivir, right? Now remdesivir was in short supply, right? So I was like, Mom, we take liberties with our parents. I was like, Mom, आपने ये क्या कर? Right? Now you can't imagine. I'm getting 45 calls a day. आप ऊपर से आपने ये call डाल दिया, etc. We take liberties with our parents, right? And my mom, moms are moms, parents are parents, they know their children well. So she kept quiet. She said, "Theek hai beta, that's fine, no problem. We are under no, I understand the pressure of you are." And she listened patiently. We finished the call, and towards the end of her call, my mom said one thing to me, which changed the way I would react at that period from the next day. Actually, from that minute, she said, "Okay, beta, then good. Be happy." And she told me, I want to just tell you one thing. You have been given a gift to make a difference at this time. Use it wisely.
So beautiful.
Now, at that point in time, you hear it, and then you reflect. The process of thinking and germination is you keep reflecting. So that stayed with me. From the next day, that is a message I inculcated to everyone. Everyone was stressed in this. And I just kept saying, if I start becoming less stressed, if I believe that my mission is to make a difference, that I have been given a gift. I've not been privileged to be in that situation at that point in time, that I'm the only medicine maker or something. No, I've been given that gift by someone, right? So this is one message, right? So there are several messages like this, right? That reinforce various themes that you see in management, right? Everybody talks about ESG. Do more for environment, more for society, and then your communication starts becoming very, what would I say? Very. It becomes paternalistic, right? In some form, it's very important. Planet is very important. We all start saying the same thing. And so I was driving through the plant and I saw this one board, right? Now just imagine the power of words. It says, you don't inherit this planet from your parents. You borrow it from your children.
Wow.
Right? Now you see the play of the words here, right? When I inherit something, it's like, aapko de diya, I don't feel too responsible for it. When I borrow, and if I'm borrowing it from my children, I have a responsibility.
Very powerful.
Right. So I think what happens in management, as I've seen, and leadership, what I've seen is, if you do not find meaning behind what you're doing, it's just another exercise. But if you find meaning to link back, then the same ESG could mean something very different for you. The same purpose of why your company is working could be very different for you. And then the storytelling which frankly is a key leadership skill today, becomes so much more easier when you're able to relate it to yourself, right? So, I mean, so that's, I mean, we are privileged and fortunate that at times we get this and we move. Yeah. So for me, I see, I think the big feature that I associate. Look, there are a lot of people who can speak about Gandhiji more eloquently than I have. I haven't really read too much about Gandhiji, etc. But I know what he stood for, right? And for me, I think when I look at, see, I think the reason why some people stick more with you than the others, their features stick more with you, is because you can build a thread between what you go through in life with what they went through. Right? It's not because, right? And for me, it was all about resilience, right? And another word that parents keep teaching you, beta, sabr, patience. Right? So for me, he was a part of these two things. It was patience and resilience. And my whole life of the changes I've gone through, adaptability, adjusting to new schools, new friends, new situations, new geographies, right? And perhaps what's prepared me for this world of which is huge in uncertainty. It's all about resilience. Right? It's very interesting. I'm sorry, I keep digressing, right? But I don't know.
Don't worry.
So there's
I'm just feeling guilty that I'm not taking away too much of your
No,
time.
I'm fine. There is this guy called Tal Ben Shahar. Have you heard of him?
Yeah, positive psychology.
Yeah. So Tal is, teaches positive psych, and his class at the Harvard Business School was is always the most well attended class. So we had requested Tal to come and speak to us at Cipla as a leadership team, and Tal is very generous. He came and spoke, and when you're going through stressful periods in your life, the most natural question that leadership teams ask Tal is what do we do with stress? Right? It's the most favorite. How do we deal with stress? Right? How do we minimize stress? And Tal, made this very profound comment to us, and he says, "Do not try to reduce stress because you can't. You can't control it. Bahar se, there's an action item happening outside, right? How can you control it? If you have bad traffic, you can't reach office." So you're saying that I want to minimize my stress is an oxymoron. Instead, think of how you will rejuvenate yourself to deal with the stress. Right? Recovery. He called it recovery. How will you recover from stress? Which is so fundamental, right, to how we operate as people. Very often we try to say, "Acha, we'll minimize this. I will meditate for 2 hours. I will do this." But the thing is, you can't. Those are good things. Those are coping mechanisms. You can't reduce your stress. Right? I can't say from tomorrow I won't be stress-free, because I know if I say that, the rest of the organization will be stressed. Right? So stress is not about my stress goes down, everybody else's stress goes up. It can't be that way. Right? So rejuvenation, resilience, right? Patience, sabr. These are very important, and patience is particularly important for the younger generation. Everybody wants to get rich, including my son. All of our children want to get rich, famous as quickly as possible. I mean, there is no panacea like that, right? You cannot do that, because, and now what I've started telling people, people of my age, right? When you reach your 50s and you start, realizing that 60 was a number where most people would hang up their boots, right? Earlier, pehle hota tha, right? Now when people come and say, "Oh, I'm already 53, 54, and my favorite line with them is that, and so, and they're like, "No, and so, then what do we do with our life?" And I'm like, "Listen, the reality is, the lives, many of us, me, maybe not me, but many of the others, may actually well live into our 80s and 90s. So is your wife going to be very happy if you're sitting at home after 60? No. Right? So think of your life in terms of, and that's why patience is a very important factor. Somebody who's 35 can't say, "I want to retire at 45," because the guy who's 55 is today saying, "Yaar, 70 tak to mere ko kaam karna hai." right? So if you begin to plan your life as a sprint, I'm not sure that's the best way to do it. Because what will you do? Even if you sprint, what will you do after that? Right? And so this patience in today's world and tolerance are two very, very big things. And I think part of the world's problems is because we are not tolerant anymore. And we've forgotten how to have dialogues. We're opinionated.
Even the word tolerance actually is in actuality something to arrogance statement.
It is.
Say, really being inclusive or
You're right.
just
Tolerant is
just-
inclusive, diverse,
just,
accepting.
Accepting.
I would say accepting is something which is.
That this, again, the gift that you talked about. We're just so lucky to have such diversity in the world that we have.
And how do you become more accepting?
We had people just like ourselves all the time.
I agree. How can you be so accepting? And I think this path of being so opinionated, and maybe that comes with technology, right? Is one of the reasons why we can't have dialogues and we can't be accepting of each other. And because of that, we have problems in the world.
True.